for the next episode. I can't wait to get home and turn my TV on. I'm ready for the next episode. Got my snatch shoes off, my remote control. I'm ready for the next episode.
Hi guys, welcome back to next episode with Niq
and Jess.
And today we are finishing our discussion of the resort.
Yes.
So some of the themes that I saw in the show, loss was definitely a big theme.
That was a big one.
Also searching for identity was a theme that I found. And I think as we get to explore the relationships between the characters, we kind of see those themes come out. So of course, as you were watching the show, you find out that the issues in between their marriage between Emma and
Noah.
I'm sorry, because I just want to call him cheating. Between Emma and Noah centers that they experienced a pregnancy loss. Mm-hmm. And so when she lost the baby, she was far enough along that she actually had to deliver it. And so Noah actually saw the baby, but in that moment, Emma decided not to. And that's something that she's regretted. Mm-hmm. And it's also something that Noah knows that she regrets. And I feel like he's trying to heal that wound for her.
Mm-hmm. But he can't.
That he can't. Mm-hmm. That he can't. And I think that honestly is something that happens a lot in marriage, where someone is having an issue and their partner is trying to solve that issue for them, and that's not really what they need.
Yeah.
And so you're like, I'm trying to help you. And the other person's like, if you want to help me, be what I need you to be, not what you think I need.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's something that's very common to marriages.
It is. And I also think that she doesn't know what she needs. So she doesn't know, you know what I mean? She's not communicating what her needs are very well either. And I think that's because she doesn't know what they are. She just knows that she doesn't like what he's doing. And she says several times he's treating her like she's a baby. She feels like since she lost the baby, everybody treats her like she's broken. And now she is kind of getting resentful of that. And I do understand that. But I also think she doesn't know, okay, but what do you want him to treat you? Or what does support look like?
Right. What was interesting is I've also experienced pregnancy loss. Mm-hmm. And so mine was very early in my pregnancy. But I really had a hard time with it. And I think I was having a hard time, and a lot of people didn't even realize how hard I was having it because I did keep it to myself.
Yeah.
Because I honestly did not know. I didn't know how to explain it to people. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people were like, "Oh, you know what? Just try again.
You can have another one."
And for me, I was scared that I could never even get pregnant in the first place. Mm-hmm. And so when I did get pregnant, I was so excited. And when I lost the baby, I was so devastated and scared that I'm like, oh, something's wrong with me. Because I have a husband who has kids from previous relationships, very fertile, has no problem impregnating someone. And I had never been pregnant in my entire life. And at that point, I was in my mid-30s. So I knew any fertility issues were coming from my end. Mm-hmm. And so when I lost the baby, I'm like, oh, you know what? Am I incapable of having a child? I also know on my father's side of the family, there are fertility issues. Mm-hmm. And so all of these things were weighing on me. And I'm like, did I do something wrong? I thought I did all the research. And I felt like my husband didn't take it as hard as I did. Yeah. And so I had those feelings also. And so I was suffering in silence for a very, very long time. Mm-hmm. And so I understood her feelings of loss. And I understood feeling like, no one can really understand what you have going on because everybody handles loss differently and it looks different, for different people.
Mm-hmm.
And when her partner was reaching out to her,
Yeah.
and so I didn't have that experience where my partner could see my pain.
Mm.
And so I wonder in that situation how I would have handled it. If it would have been something that have helped me, or like her, if it would have made it worse. I don't know.
Yeah, there's no way to know, and I think it's about how, and I guess maybe about that person. Like I don't know that she didn't want to be reached out to, but more so, I think she still wanted her to treat her like she was the full person she was before this happened.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the thing that she wasn't getting that made that reaching out not really feel like like the support she needed.
What's also interesting is like she was talking about like having issues with her identity. And this is a funny thing because this is also something that I experienced when I got married. Like having to change my last name was very traumatic for me.
I remember that.
Because I did feel like I was losing like my identity and the person that I was. And the funny thing is, I was very attached to my last name. I'm not very attached to my biological father. It wasn't like, but I was attached to my last name and it was a part of my identity. And I felt like everything that I have ever done in my life, all the things that I have accomplished and all of my great memories, I was one person. And then when I got married, I really drug my feet on changing my last name. My husband was like, I don't understand. Don't you want to have the same last name as me? Like we're together. And I'm like, it's not that I have an issue like being with you, but I feel like I'm losing me.
I do think that is, yeah, I get that. I get that. Like, because you are, and one, you had a really great last name. Like, it's had a really wonderful, unique last name. But also, like, that's the person that you've been. And you have to think, like, who is this new person with this different name? And we are attached to our names. So I get that. I think a lot of married women go through that. It was, I mean, I changed when I did get married, I changed my name quickly, but I definitely went through that period of, who is this person? And then getting divorced. And I'm like, I'm going back to that. But that was a much easier transition. Go back to my original name. But yeah, but no,
I think I think the things that Emma is going through is a combination of those two things.
yeah,
And it's something that I think women experience it differently. For some reason, when you get married, like it just seems like your husband stays a whole person and you're supposed to a certain extent meld into them. And it's awkward and it doesn't work. You at some point you feel this need to reassert your identity and create this life for yourself.
Yeah. And she says that directly. She's like, we're supposed to be two separate people. We're not two separate people anymore. We don't have our own friends. We don't have our own, all those kind of things. She kind of goes to that. And so I do agree. I think she is searching for identity on several different levels, like who she was before she lost the baby, who she is now dealing with that pain and still living with that pain. She's lost that element of chemistry that they had at the beginning of them being a couple, but at the same time, she wants a separate identity. She does not want to be just a part of a couple. So it's a lot of things that she's grappling with. And I think go back to like you saying, like he's reaching out and giving support, but she's not receiving it. But I'm like, she needs a professional support. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, like I don't think he has the ability to do it, not because he's like not a good person, but just because like that's a lot of stuff to grapple with at once. And yeah, and she does seem depressed. She really does. She seems like really sick.
What I think I think that Noah feels like it's his job to be everything to her, and he's trying to do that, but you can't be somebody's everything.
Mm.
It's not healthy. So
No.
yes, I agree, she does need professional help, and he's trying to heal her, and that's not his job, his role, or his responsibility.
Right.
You know, his responsibility would be to encourage her to get help.
He's trying to be her caregiver, and what she needs is a partner. And I think that's what she's trying to say to some degree. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where she's like, you treat me like a baby, you treat me like I'm broken. And he does have this very caregiver aspect in the way that he talks to her and the way he kind of monitors what she does. And that's not what she wants.
Right. And I can see that. And it's like, you can tell that he's a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell that he really loves and cares about her.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that what he's doing is the best for her. And I think that's really important, that sometimes we have to listen when we're trying to help someone. We have to listen and make sure that we're helping them in the way that they need, not in the way that we are willing to help.
That makes sense.
You know, because I think if he had stepped back from the situation, I think he would have been able to see that, like, you're suffocating her in a way, and you're losing the chemistry is not there, because it's turning into a parent-child relationship versus a married couple relationship.
And that's always going to kill the chemistry.
Right.
That is always chemistry, yeah. And I do agree, and I think that kind of like overbearing kind of thing is because he is so desperate not to lose this relationship. Like anytime somebody brings up divorce or separation, so like another set of characters we have are the two Teds. They meet another married couple who have this really interesting philosophy on marriage, where they reevaluate their marriage every 7 years. They go on a vacation, and after that, they kind of talk about the relationship and see if they're going to continue for the next 7 years. And when Noah meets them, he hits it off with the Teds, and he says that's terrifying. And then and then every time anyone anywhere near mentions like, oh, there's something wrong with their relationship, or like, you can see the terror on his face. Sometimes he says that he's scared. You know, I think he is so desperate, like that push is like to try to hold on to this relationship. So he's just like, what is it? You know, like he's almost like a hover parent, you know, at this point.
Right. So his greatest fear is losing his wife. Her greatest fear is losing herself. Yeah. And so that's where they are. He feels like, you know, she's got all this distance and she's moving away from me, and he's trying to just grab her and hold her tighter and tighter and tighter. Meanwhile, she's like, I don't know who I am anymore. All I am is a person in this relationship. I need to figure out who I am. And it's like the things that he's doing to like hold on to her is only making her situation worse. And so it's like things are only deteriorating between them. They both need
they both need help. But like, here's the thing. But to you know, to like, it does not make it any better though that she keeps doing dangerous shit. You know what I mean? Like, he's already in hover parent mode, and she keeps doing the most, like her going on this mystery. Like, honestly, truly, like we wouldn't have a story if she didn't do it, but like, it makes no sense. She's taking dangers that don't need to be risks that don't need to be taken. So like, one of the things with this that they come across as a part of this mystery, and pretty early on in the mystery, after they find the phone and after they start exploring and trying to figure out what happened, is that there's this message in the phone that says, "Don't fuck with the yellow snake. It has 4 noses." They come to realize that this story has something to do with a very famous family in the area called the Frias family, who has a lot of power and influence. And that message is, every time they encounter, people are like, "Don't fuck with the yellow snake. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it." And they keep doing it. And she keeps getting deeper and deeper. They get chased they get chased out of like a marketplace. She is not taking care of herself. She loses a tooth. And she doesn't tell him. Like, she just keeps taking all these different risks with her life. And he was already in hover parent mode.
Right. Yes. Her behavior is It's irrational.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand she's acting out because she's trying to find some measure of control. Mm-hmm. I agree that the stuff that she's doing is stupid and dangerous. I'm not trying to make excuses for her poor behavior. I just understand the root of it. She's she's literally acting out.
Yes, like a rebellious child, almost like him.
Right, which is crazy because she's like, oh, you treat me like a child, but you're also acting like one.
The more he treats her like a child, the more she acts like a child. Like it's this weird cycle that they're in.
So yeah, so that they both need therapists, and they're not the only ones who experience loss. So the Frias family, we meet one of the people. And his name is Balthasar, and he's like the rebellious one in his family because they're famous like tailors, fashion designers, and that's how they built their fortune. And although Balthasar is an extremely talented tailor, very, very creative, especially if you like over the top things, because Alan Cumming would love him.
Yeah, it would be besties.
He actually wants to be a detective, which in his family is not respected and is seen as a joke. And because he has this desire to live his own life and to be more than just a Frias, he ends up running away and going to the resort. But he at some point he ends up going back to his family. And so basically like his thing is like what he's lost is the desire to like live the life that he wants and to be seen outside of his family name. Mm-hmm. Like he wants to be able to like be a detective and be seen as Balthazar and not be seen as a Frias and not have the expectation that I have to, be a tailor. Because even when he left and was working at the hotel and like as head of security and really enjoyed it, did you notice he was still making clothes?
Yes, I did. Like, I'm like, he gets up every morning and sews a new outfit. Like, if you look at his clothes, they are so ornate and like sometimes even specific. Like one of the last scenes we see, one of the last suits that he sews, he has a scene from the adventure that he sewed into the back of his garment. Like our little sister, I think he gets up every day before work. When our little sister used to do that before school.
Yes.
I think he does that.
Yeah,
every morning he
gets outfits every morning.
Because I don't think that he does it. I think he enjoys it, but I just don't think he that's all he was. And he's particularly talented. So his mother is actually the one who made the Frias name famous and popular because she was so talented. And everyone in the family said he was even more talented than her. And so then there was even more pressure or I think, friction when he did not go into the family business.
Right. Because once again, we're talking about loss and identity. Mm-hmm. And so like he wants to be more than just a tailor. Just because you are good at something, just because you're excellent at something does not mean that you have to devote your life to it.
Right. Even if it's something you enjoy doing it, because I do think it's something he enjoys doing. Like there's scenes where like you see him and he's in his room and he's sewing.
But he wants to be more than that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And they're telling him you can only be this one thing. Mm-hmm. You have to conform and you have to be this person because our family is so important. And so he has a loss of freedom. He wants to hide who he is. He can't. Ideally, he would like to exist in the world.
Or he tries.
And he does try. He works really hard.
His family's too famous. He changes his name. He goes to the resort. He takes a job as security. But his family's so famous, everyone knows who he is. Right.
And so, once again, it's pressure. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because he's trying to create an identity and people won't let him just be Balthasar. Mm-hmm. Now, him as a child, I know that you thought it was hilarious. I was like, as a child, I'm like, this child is annoying. And I'm going to tell you, the first letter I did not have an issue with. Mm-hmm. The first letter he wrote to the author, because I'm like, oh, he's a little kid. He's writing to the author. Mm-hmm. It's when the author pushed back against what he said. And then he's like sending him another nasty letter. And I'm like, well, people are allowed to be creative. Like, if you didn't enjoy the story, okay, don't buy another one of my books. But why are you harassing me? And you know your family is rich and powerful.
Mm-hmm. What? Okay, that scene is my favorite scene in the show. It is hilarious. I like it because one, it shows Balthazar is Balthazar from the beginning to the end, because even how he does detective, he is a dog with a bone. He won't let go. He asks invasive questions that are way too personal, gets all in people's business, and he's just one of those people who says whatever he thinks, and he does not have a concept for how you might take it. And he does not. He was that when he was a child. And I think that's why also I love that scene. It's like, that is always who Balthazar has been.
Yes, but is that because he grew up super privileged? You don't have to think about the consequences of what you say or how what you're doing affects other people, because he's very, very privileged. It's the way that he went to visit his friend and was like, oh, you know what, stop working and come on this adventure. She's like, I got bills. What are you talking about?
I love
you know what I mean? Yeah. He's not in touch with the real world, which is why he can move the way that he moves. I did enjoy his interviews though, because it was like, are you a detective or are you trying to be a therapist? Because his detecting is very therapizing.
It is very therapizing, but not in a way that's helpful. It's just invasive.
You know what? Yes, I agree. It is. It comes across as if he's asking therapeutic questions. Yes, that's how it comes across, but he actually is just being extremely invasive.
Extremely invasive, but it still has that benefit of getting people to think about and admit to stuff themselves that they don't want to. Mm-hmm. So it's like in a weird way, in the worst way, he's like the most blunt therapist you could ever have. But it still works. I want to go back real quick to the letter writing. Ilani Barra also knows that that's a child and that he goes back and forth with.
I was going to make that point too. It takes a special kind of person to have a vicious argument with a child.
The argument that the author of the book, Ilani Barra, and that Balthazar are having is so like heated. They are going, like, at one point, Balthazar tells him that the binding of your book is only good for toilet paper. Excuse me as I wipe. Ilani Barra. Ilani Barra knows this is a child the whole time, because Balthazar identifies himself as a child in the first letter. And he's like, what, 10 or 11, I would say?
He looked like 8 or 9. He was like very young.
And at the end, he's like, somebody should end you. Maybe I will make you disappear or something like that. To a child. So Ilan ain't all the way wrapped tight either.
Now, when we meet him, he is everything that I thought he was going to be.
Everything.
He is when I'm like, what kind of person would like argue with a child? That person would. He's I like that when you meet him, you're like, oh yeah, no, you are the type of person who would have a vicious argument with a child.
And can I tell you, Luis Guzman in that part, I loved every bit of it. I don't know who else could have played that like that. I enjoyed him so much, and he was perfect, and he played that part perfectly.
Nobody else could have played that part but him. Nobody else. Because I'm like, you're a terrible person.
You're a terrible person. Like, well, I don't know if I would call him a terrible person. He's funny to me. Well, I guess. Okay. But anyway.
You can do both. He's entertaining. But I'm just like,
that's what it is. He's so entertaining.
You are not a good person.
But yes, I full on believe that you had a full on argument with a child. That he's eccentric. He's over the top. It's questionable whether or not he's actually a good writer.
I don't think that he is, because the story was real. Like, he was basically telling the story of what him and his best friend, who you found out like that Alejandro is actually his best friend. And this happened like when they were younger, is doing. So like, he didn't even create like a fantasy world or anything like that. He's just like telling the story of what happened. Well, and that's why there's no ending, because
there's two different books. So like, the book that Balthazar reads is called El Espejo. That's supposed to be a detective novel. That's the one he's going tit for tat for him about. The book that the mother wrote is the mother read, and it has Pasaje. It's like in English it would be the illusion of time, but it's like El Ilusión de Tiempo, something like that. But it means the illusion of time. Really good title though. And so there are two separate books going on. So
Okay.
Balthazar, because Balthazar, remember, he's really into detective novels. And so he's like, I read a lot of detective novels. This sucks.
I believe him though.
I believed him too. And he was like, it's only 68 pages. But you saw The Illusion of Time is huge. So yeah, those are two separate books, both of which have a lot of criticism.
Okay, that makes more sense now because I'm just like, I'm like, okay, that makes more sense because I'm like, well, why would there be a crime in the book about their adventures looking for this place?
Yeah. So yeah, he's reading his what is supposed to be his detective novel, but that's only 68 pages, but still didn't have an ending.
So yeah, I agree with. It's not that I disagree with Balthazar that the book was probably bad, but writing and going back and forth with the author is crazy.
Well, it's everything but that's Balthazar. Like, you know what I mean? It's not that he's necessarily wrong about the things he said. It's just nobody else would just say them to people's face like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
right.
He has no filter. He has no compassion really. You know, so and that's almost the thing. It's like, it's almost like him and Ilan are almost like different sides of the same coin. Right.
That's very true, actually. Balthazar is not a terrible person. He's not terribly sensitive.
Like he's intelligent, but yeah, he's insensitive. He's incredibly insensitive.
And so getting back to the theme of loss throughout the show, I want to talk about Violet and her dad.
Okay.
And so, and of course, I don't know her dad's name.
Oh God, not that one.
I call his name in real life is Niq Offerman.
Okay.
I was like not learning. It was too many names in the show for only 8 episodes. That I feel like they didn't give me enough time to learn everybody's name. Because I'm like, okay, it's 2 guys named Ted. And then I'm like, there's, for some reason, the helicopter pilot being named Abigail, I could remember her name. But then I could not remember the name of his best friend who used to be the maid.
Luna.
See, I'm like, I don't know. I didn't have enough time to learn everybody's names. I'm like, I need more episodes. If you want me to remember this many characters in the period.
Niq Offerman's name is Murray.
Okay. So, yeah, did anyone use his name?
Only Balthazar, I think.
Because I'm like, I feel like his name was valid bad through this whole thing.
I want to say they called him Mr. Thompson for some reason, but like I think only because him and Balthazar sound like they went on some adventures afterwards trying to find them too.
I have thoughts about that.
That's the other thing. If we get in spinoffs or side shows, I know we didn't even get a second season, but I would watch the adventures of Murray and Balthazar. I'm just saying.
I was not even sure if the things that he was saying were true. I want to talk about that, but let's put a pin in that and talk about it after we talk about the situation. Because okay. So when you meet Violet and her dad Murray, you find out that Violet wanted to go to this resort for Christmas, and it's been a year since Violet's lost her mom and he lost his wife. Now, it sounds like they had an agreement before they got there that they would be vacationing at the same place but not together.
Well, they were gonna meet at the same place and do their own thing.
Which is very strange because it's Christmas and this is your only parent and this is your only child.
And you just lost your mom and your wife a year ago.
So there was already like, that was weird between the two of them. But I now realize that the reason why Violet wanted to go to that resort is because she wanted to find Pasaje.
Right.
I don't think I honestly did not put all of that together until I got to the end and had to think about everything that I experienced. And I'm like, oh, that's why she wanted to go to that resort. Her plan was always to find Pasaje so she could go see her mom, which is why she told her dad, hey, like, let's not really hang, because she wanted her space to find the place. And I thought that was really interesting because I'm like, you lost your mom, but your dad is right there. And so you'd rather go and search and hope that you would somehow meet your mom based on a book. It was like a lot. It was a small, it's like there's a small chance that your mom is in the space between time and you can go and hang out with her versus actually spending time with your actual dad who's alive and paid for this luxurious vacation for you.
And is a decent dad for the times. You know what I mean? Like he's not, he doesn't seem like a bad guy. A little bit, to me, he handles things like a guy. You know what I mean? So he mentions at one point you see him break down saying, my daughter wanted to go on this vacation, but she didn't want to spend time with me. And I see him making these like bids towards spending time with her that I think she misses. But like you said, she's focused on Pasaje and seeing her mom. But like, he also does not say anything to her directly. He'll say something like, hey, I was going to go see the dolphins later. Or if you want to do something, we could do something together. And or, hey, I was going to do this, but if you want to do something, instead of just saying, hey, I want to spend time with you, or let's go here together. Like he says it in a roundabout way that just strikes me as very male, but like you can see he wants to spend time with his daughter.
He does.
And she just does not pick up on it. But like, I'm like, but you could have also said that a little bit more directly. That's my
right. It's like he's afraid of rejection.
Oh, I could see that.
But I think he should have said something like, I really miss your mom too. I'm lonely. I miss,
Yeah, I think
she didn't.
She was not picking up on those clues because her mind, which you don't realize why, but you realize later her mind is on Pasaje. And I think Violet is one of those people too, like, who could be like, because she doesn't seem like she's sad or upset. She's one of those people who can smile on the outside and is toe up on the inside. So like she is clearly, you realize at how dedicated she is to going to Pasaje and to finding this thing, how hard she's really taken her mother's death. But on the surface, she seems like this light, airy person. And so you don't see it.
Right. She gives like a manic pixie hippie girl
vibes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you're watching them both like go through like the motions of loss. And so, and for her, like the way that she's handling losing her mom is trying to find her. And he's trying to like hold on to her because that's all he has left. And then he loses her because she disappears during the hurricane. Like right before the hurricane hits, she goes off into the jungle. He has no clue where she is. And so then the hurricane hits and he never sees her again. But you find out that he spent these 15 years essentially looking for her, most of the 15 years, yeah. Looking for her. And then he gives up. And then his passion to find her is reignited. Mm-hmm. And the beautiful thing is he actually does find her. I never in a million years thought that she was going to be found.
Right.
I thought we were going to find out who killed her.
And that's the crazy thing too with the storyteller we're talking about, because a good portion of the show you feel like you're in a crime mystery kind of thing. Right. You're really not. Yeah.
So it's talking about how they leave things unresolved. For her, no time has passed. She thought that she was in that water for 5 minutes. It's been 15 years. And for him, he's been looking for her for 15 years. So essentially, emotionally, they're really in the same place that they were 15 years ago. Mm. And so the question is, how do they move forward? And what does that look like? And that is something we will never know.
It's something we will never know, but it's also something Luna brings up at the end. So like that last conversation where we end the show and Luna and Balthazar are having a conversation, Luna alludes to the fact that she's like, it looks pretty. It looks like everything is all wrapped up. But when you think about it, it's really messed up. Like this is kind of, I don't know her exact words, but like they're still going to go through like trying to reconcile this. Cause that gap of they don't understand how cell phones work now. You know what I mean? Like they don't, like 15 years has passed them. There's a lot of catching up to do. They're essentially still like 22 years old, but they're really, I don't know what's 15, but math is not my thing, but you know what I mean? But they're really significantly older. They've missed that chunk of time. That adjustment is going to be something. Being at, I don't know if they're at the same emotional place exactly, like same emotional place as far as in loss. Yes.
Right.
But so much has happened. They're going to be at just very different places in life.
But also, if you look at like Violet, because her dad was part of the team that went and found her and never stopped looking for her, is in a very different situation than Sam, whose parents essentially thought he was dead and moved on with their life. And when he called them to tell them he was alive, they hung up on him.
Yeah.
How does it look for him to walk back into his family when they thought that he was gone and to be the same age?
Right.
They're not like that. Like they're not.
Accept it.
They're not. I'm like they're not spooky people.
No.
You know what I mean? Like they're not spooky people. Like, so
spooky. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like there's so many places and things that could have been explored. And, and I'm like, unanswered questions continue to haunt me.
Right.
I
just need like all these like streaming platforms and all these shows. Like at this point, like we should not give y'all no new shows. Y'all need to finish all these shows that you started and did not give us any conclusion for.
Right.
And that's your punishment.
Because I'm like, does it make sense for him to go back to his parents? Does it make sense for him to just go with Violet? We accept it.
Because it's only been 5 minutes for him, I think he's got to try.
To go see his parents?
Yeah. It's like literally like, and he had a more difficult time accepting the fact that 15 years has passed than Violet.
Yes, but he was already having issues with his parents. Not terrible issues, but his dad like was really weird with him. Like,
well, yeah, his dad, yeah. Well, and again, time differences. 2007. You think your son is possibly gay, and what that looked like for you to handle it versus 2022. And I'm like, the son is not gay, but like it's a whole bunch of misunderstandings and missed signals as to why he thinks that. But that's a very different conversation in 2007 than it is in 2022.
It is.
And then for the son to still be there, knowing that how his father has been treating him, but now it's been 15 years later, the father is probably no big deal now. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of stuff.
I don't know, because now his dad is 15 years older. So the gap, essentially he's still 22.
Yeah.
And now his dad is 15 years older. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's more open-minded. Some people just age. They don't change with the times. They just age. And so now there was already an age gap between them. Mm-hmm. Now the age gap is 15 years wider. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like it doesn't bode well for his relationship with his parents.
And I'm not saying I think it's going to work out, but I'm saying if for me, I saw you yesterday in my mind, my thought is not going to be, I'm going to give up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, right. So that's why I said, no matter what, he's going to have to try. He may very well end up with Violet, and I hope they end up together. They're adorable to me together.
I mean, who else is going to understand?
No one else is going to understand him. Provided that this memory leak don't happen, and he's not on the slow descent of madness. But I would like them together, and yeah, nobody else can understand them at this point but each other. But he's got to at least try, and those things don't have to be mutually exclusive. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even you can try to make things work with your parents. See if everybody got to come with me to explain what happens, because I'm not going to do it by myself. Right? They're not going to believe you. And we got
the kind of cog in the middle of the wheel of the story is actually Alejandro, mm-hmm. which is kind of funny because he's not in the show that much, but if you really think about it, like he kind of is the cog in the wheel. And so he is really good friends with the author when they were younger. Him and Balthazar are really, really great friends.
That's true.
And you learn that
for to be mortal enemies, they had the same best friend.
Right. Right. And so one of the things that you learn is like he is experiencing this memory leakage and it causes him to go insane. And then Balthazar says that he ends up walking into the ocean. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, excuse me, you can't just say that. I need more information. Mm-hmm. Because I don't even know that we essentially really understand what Alejandro loses when he loses his memory. But once again, he's losing his memory, he's losing his identity, and he's losing his hold into the world. Mm-hmm. And that ultimately leads to his demise. But we don't even know what he lost.
We don't like he references it, but we don't know it in detail. Like he says things like, I can't remember my first love, I can't remember my family.
Right.
You know there's a disconnect between him and his family because nobody knows how he got to Quintana Roo. Like and there's different theories of he just walked out the jungle one day, which we now know is true because he was in Pasaje, but why was he in Quintana Roo in the first place? You know what I mean?
Right.
Did he live there? Did he have a family there? Did his family move there? We don't know. There's a theory that he was related to hedge fund managers and that's why he's there. Why does he have so much freaking money?
Right.
Walking out the jungle for so long time that he could buy a whole resort. Yeah, there's a lot of questions around that.
So it's like he's like the center of the loss. Like, you know, and so it's like you get to see what happens when you don't address it and you can't stop that feeling of loss and lost identity because he ends up in the ocean, like walking into the ocean in his death. And you like it's other people are on the journey. You know what I mean? Like Balthazar is trying to learn how to like live the life that he wants with, you know, without losing his family and his family connections. Violet and Murray are trying to learn, you know, how to live without their mom and their wife and not lose each other. And it's like, oh, you get to kind of understand what happens if they don't address it. What happens if Emma and Noah don't address, you know, and get over their loss and find their own identities? What Alejandro is what happens. You know, it's essentially his death. And so it's kind of beautiful. This show is very poetic. It's very poetic and it asks so many questions too, considering the show is very lighthearted and it's a comedy drama. It's very, very lighthearted, but it's like they pack in a lot of like esoteric, like theoretical, like,
Questions.
you know, but they wrap it up in such a pretty bow. That you can honestly watch the show and not ask the questions because you're just like, oh, that was a crazy fun. It's like a Disney ride in the sense that like it goes up, it goes down, you know what I mean, and then it's done. It feels very quick, and so yes, you could watch it and not necessarily ask any questions. You're like, oh, that was cute, fun, and quirky. But if you like are people like us who are always looking at the art, there's so many layers. There's so many layers.
There are. Like even back to like the beginning. So like, you know, when like you're seeing Sam on the plane and he's he drew that picture of the scene that he saw on the plane and he's showing it to his then girlfriend Hannah, and she's like, well, what's the point? And he's like, does art have to have a point? Does it always have to have a meaning?
You are right.
And that's like to me, that's like the overcast of the whole show. Does the show have a meaning? Does it have to have a meaning? There's so many meanings that you could derive for it. There's so many directions you could, but you also don't have to.
You know what? That is right. They said it right plain in the beginning. They did. Oh, I forgot about that. Man. I need to figure out I need to see who wrote the show and see what other shows they've written.
Right. I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm glad that you enjoy it. I think I'm always a little bit nervous when I suggest a show to you. But
you know what? Honestly, it's never, I don't enjoy the shows that you suggest. It's like I just sometimes get something completely different from this show than what you got, you know? And so like, you know, we have a lot of things in common. I just think, of course, our lenses are different.
Of course. Yeah, that makes sense. So the name of the writer is Andy Siara. Siara.
Does it say if he's written anything else?
Of course, yes. A lot of things.
Like other shows?
A lot of short films. He has another miniseries named Angeline, which is also on Peacock. Lodge 49, a TV series, comedy drama. Okay. Yeah.
We may have to put a couple of those shows on the list.
On there, see where
maybe we can do a show about him by examining his works.
Okay, I would be down for that. Oh, and this other one is a limited series because I'm like I told you, I don't know why I went into it thinking that this was a limited series instead of a show. But yeah. All right, I'm down.
Okay, I like that idea. I do like that because he's doing something different. I think we need to applaud and shine light on people who are doing something different. And it's not to say that you can't like what's normal and what's popular because we like those things too,
Absolutely.
you know. But like I like
30-minute rant on traders on reality TV.
right, right. Because I feel like we are both people who are not above it all. Like there are some people who go out of their way to not enjoy what's popular and to feel like they always have to go against the grain.
Mm-hmm.
That is not us.
No.
We are like, no, we can like popular stuff too. We also like things that are quirky and different.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, that's my thing. I'm like, I enjoy what I enjoy. It doesn't have to be a certain like or highbrow feeling. If I enjoy it, I enjoy it. If I don't, I don't. Same. The opposite is also true. Like if it's highbrow and everybody else is like, oh my God, it's so smart. And I think it's dumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. But I like to, I just like to enjoy whatever experiences that I enjoy, regardless of, where it's at.
Absolutely. Like I am someone who enjoys examining media,
Mm-hmm.
but I also love Vampire Diaries and every single spinoff that it has.
Yeah.
I don't care what you think about like the quality of that show.
Right.
I watch that show and all their spinoffs every year and will do that probably for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
Because I love a vampire. I'm sorry.
And I love a show like this that I do think like asks a lot of questions. It's told in a really interesting way. I'm also going to watch a very formulaic crime show as well.
Absolutely. I watched Severance, but I'm also going to watch Found.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I did enjoy Found. Found is a little bit different. I think you get a little bit of both with that.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, like sometimes I like that show. I'm not caught up. I have to take breaks because it's like so emotional. You know what I mean? Like these people have really bad problems. Like it, and so I do have to take like breaks from the show, but the premise is good. The acting is good. Like no notes. It's just my life is heavy. And so sometimes I can't do like heavy TV even when it's good.
Yeah. Same. Absolutely. I will take breaks.
Okay. So things to look out for. There is a show coming out that starts at the end of February called, I think it's called like Gross Point Society.
Okay.
And I want to put it on your radar. Okay. And so I don't know if we want to watch it as it comes out or if we want to wait till the first season is complete and watch it. But it's on my radar. I'm not sure yet, but it gives me like Desperate Housewives mixed with How to Get Away with Murder.
Okay.
And I may not be accurate, but that's what I'm getting the feeling that it could be. And if it is, I'm going to be about it. So, is there anything that's coming out that you're looking forward to?
Girl, I feel like as soon as you ask me that, my mind goes blank. Plenty of stuff, I'm sure. Oh goodness, let's see what's coming out.
Now there are shows that I have to forget exist because it takes so long for the next season. Like I'm of course looking forward to the next season of Bridgerton, but I have to pretend Bridgerton does not exist because it takes forever for the seasons to come out.
You're just not gonna stress me. No, you know what? I can't even think of a thing that's like coming out that's fresh. But what I do want us to get to eventually, we don't have to do it next, is DR from Detroit. Because I feel
no.
If you
I'm down.
This, I think you and for very different reasons, for just that element, not for all the magical realism and all that kind of stuff, but like for that element of avoiding your problems by diving into something that has nothing to do with you. That element, I think you will enjoy. So that I am looking forward to us reviewing.
Okay, so yeah, like that'll be like within the next 3 that we can review.
Okay.
Because we still have to review Meet Millie Black.
I forgot about
I'm gonna finish it. I have like the last episode to watch, but I have to up my meds before I watch that last episode.
Not up my meds, girl. We're going to review a cartoon or something before we can get to Millie Black. And it's a good show. It's really good. But it's heavy.
It is. Yeah, we're gonna need a palate cleanser. Like maybe I'll watch like the Witcher cartoon or something.
The Witcher cartoon.
Yes, there's a cartoon they have the Witcher show, but then they also have like the cartoon.
Oh Lord. Okay.
Do you watch The Witcher?
I watched one season with you, and then just lost interest.
Oh, okay. 'Cause I got like really excited. It's my thing. Like that is, like that is me. That's the kind of stuff I'm into.
I couldn't get into season 2, but I just couldn't.
You know what? Honestly, it's interesting. Like as far as like storytelling and not being linear, like it's actually it's one of the it's good in that way. Okay. So, but it's not really your thing. It's not your thing.
I like witches. I like old school. I like that kind of stuff. I do like magic. It's specifically that show. Like it has all the elements of things that I do like. I think, what is it? Because he mumbles. Like I will tell you this is a random thing. This is very true. This is more true for me for audiobooks. I love audiobooks. But like if the narrator's voice is annoying, it does not matter how good the book is. I'm either gonna have to switch to paper, or we just like, no, I can't do. And I feel like maybe it's the mumbling. Like I get to a point where I don't care what he's saying. It's not worth me trying to fight. Figure it out.
So no, I agree with audiobooks. Like I was reading the book, and then the first book was really good, and then I'm listening to the sequel, and the sequel was honestly terrible. I would have finished it though. If this one had like multiple authors, but there was one woman, and the way that she was reading, it was grating through it was killing me. And I'm like, this book is not even good. It's not even good. I did not finish it. And that is so rare for me to not finish a book. But I'm like, I'm going to throw my phone the next time she comes on the page. And so I just didn't finish it. Yeah. Which is so interesting how you have the first book is so good and such a good premise. And the second book, you clearly just did not have anything in you. And so it just gets long and weird.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I like when things get weird, but it was just weird for weird's sake. It wasn't going anywhere. It was like going in circles. It was terrible. But do you ever have someone who writes a book and that you enjoy it and you keep checking back to see if they've like written more or written a sequel?
I don't know. No, not really.
I have one book that I read some years ago, and I keep checking on this author, and I'm like, girl, will you keep writing? Like, will you keep writing? Or will you make a sequel, please? Like, I enjoy this world you've created. I enjoy the characters. And I'm just like, it's probably time for me to check again. I'm so close to writing her letter. I'm so close to writing, which is, that's like, so not me. To contact somebody, but I'm just like, I'm so close to writing a letter and be like, listen, just let me know if you're going to do it or not.
I think you should. If
you're not going to do it, just tell me, and I will stop checking on you.
And maybe that's why I love that scene with Balthazar so much, is because I wasn't that kid as like a brat, but I was the kid that would write a letter to an author because I would write scenes for that in living color and mailed them. Now I realize as an adult that my mother was probably sending those to the same place where the Santa Claus letters go, but I was writing skits for living color and mailing them off.
That is hilarious, because my first question was, where did you get the address to send it to? And now you're like, no. That was my mom's job, and if they even made it to the post office.
Girl, she probably got them in, and for whatever reason, I think I put them on index cards. She probably got them somewhere in her garage. But
that is hilarious.
My mother, she still was like, yeah, okay, baby, you can do it. And I'm like, yeah, they're going to love this one. They did a show that was very close to one of the scenes, and you couldn't tell me that I didn't write it. Like, you couldn't tell me.
Serious?
I am so serious. And okay, now I cannot remember what they called the person. And I wrote basically a one that was like, if Arnold Schwarzenegger was black, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't remember. I think they did an episode and they called him Rambro, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think when I wrote it, it was like Artist Schwarzenegger. But listen, let me tell you what my child self told me. I was like, oh, they had to change it. Like the producers probably made them change it because they didn't want to use the word Negro, but they used my sketch.
That is so cute and so hilarious. But it goes to show that you were very talented as a child. You're coming up with the same ideas that professionals are coming up with. That is actually so, like, that shows like you've been talented your entire life. But that is so cute. You like, yeah, I need to keep sending them stuff because obviously they're doing it and they're using it.
Because my dream was not to be like in front of the camera. It was like, I want to be a writer on In Living Color because, of course, I thought In Living Color was going to last forever. So I was like, no, I will be an adult.
If SNL is still on, In Living Color should still be on.
Girl, I was having that conversation yesterday. Why are we still doing this? but yes, I wanted to be a writer on Living Color. In my mind, for several years, I was. But yeah.
I would pay cash money to get a hold of those index cards. Call your mom.
I will not, because you know she's going to look for them. No.
That's what I'm like. She probably still has them. And tell her that is what I want for my birthday this year, as I want those index cards.
You know she's going to watch the show, and if she can find it, she's going to send it to you.
You actually, she's our biggest fan. So yes, actually. And now I'm really honestly probably going to get those cards for my birthday. Because, yeah, she's going to look for them. And if she finds them, she's going to send them to me.
She will. She will.
And that will be a very special episode.
Oh, my God.
Because I'm reading them all. Maybe we can recreate some. This could get really cute.
Oh my God.
This could get really, really cute.
I knew I should have told you.
And what is hilarious is we've known each other and we've been close for so many years. I cannot believe you told me a story I had never heard before. Like, that's mind blowing.
I don't know. I'm so connected with that part of the show. It was so adorable. I'm like, I don't know that I would have done it to give notes, but like, definitely I was like, no, I'm writing. Yeah, they're going to use my scene. They're totally going to use my sketch.
She was like, I'm trying to prove to them that I'm ready for the writer's room.
Girl, I was like, because I want to set up a job when I get out this house. I'm going to have a job. I'm going to do something with my life.
You have, like, I've never seen someone who was born and immediately started trying to move out. I'm like, I got to go. I got stuff to do. And I'm like, it's only 18 years, but you like 18 years is too long. And what makes it hilarious is that, like, we refer to your family as like rainbows and butterflies and like Care Bears. And you were like, I gotta go. And your house was like the house where we need to go to Jessica's house.
Thank you so much for listening today. Join us on our next episode.
Ready for the next episode. I can't wait to get home and turn my TV on. I'm ready for the next episode. Got my slash shoes off, my remote control. I'm ready for the next episode.